some of my last videos. I've since opened it a number of times and discovered that the 334B4 5 acid alloy contains a couple of very discreet little spool pins. And it was quite enjoyable, actually, as a pick, I find. Anyway, but a bunch of other things have happened since the last videos. I've been chasing up sort of a bit of an ongoing saga story about a particular lock vendor and a particular lock from them. But that's been keeping me busy for the current while, but I can't really post any videos about that yet because I'm just sort of waiting for that saga to end. But anyway, in the meantime, so what I've been doing is also been playing with making some of my own homebrew security pins. So, having now picked this a couple of times, what I've done is I've gutted it, and I've decided to take a different core, not the core that was inside here. You might notice this is a brass body padlock, and this is a brass body Bible or holder or whatever, but the plug itself is chrome. And this is what used to normally sit inside these, the 234 45s, which is a generation back, but it's the higher grade marine version. So, and I think the strategy from Lockwood is that they put steel pins, which are polished, inside the chrome plug. They're all just flat normal standards, but due to the high tolerances and everything being so shiny and slippery, it's quite annoying to actually get it to a proper set in terms of your pin stacks. Anyway, so this lock is going out to Lockpicking Lawyer on YouTube, or HT4 I think, on keypicking.com. And mate, I've cut you 2 keys. One works quite... ooh, I should be careful there. One works quite perfectly. The other one I think is a bit sticky going the other way back, but that's not going to be a problem because it's going to be mounted inside this body, and we're going to be limited to the Lockwood deadlocking, just, you know, those degrees of the circle. Anyway, so what I figured we should do is I'm going to give you just a couple of tips on putting this thing back together, and I'm also just going to take it apart to show you what lovely things I've placed in here. Anyway, alright, let's open this up, shall we? Where do I want my pins? I want my pins there. Okay, cool. And I think we've just fucked some stuff up. Yep. Oh god, we fucked a whole bunch of stuff up. Thankfully, I think I know how it all went back together. So, oh, what a mess. Yeah, don't do this. Don't do exactly what I just did. Fail. He sat in there. He sat there. He sat there. He was there. That fellow was there. What's left? Yeah, here we go. Alright. So after that blunder, I hope you can see to some degree what we have there, but I'm going to hold that up a bit closer, or at least examine each of the pins quickly so you can take a quick look at them. So what I did here was, the first one we have a polished steel standard, nothing special. number 2 is kind of cool. So what we have here is a pin and pin design. I took a nail, I took a, can't remember what type of pin it was, and gave it a, well, mounted it in my Dremel and drilled a hole in the top of it such that it would sit on this little nail. I gave it some extra serration, or a serration, and then put a tiny little spring on here. The original design is entirely inspired from Flywheel, who came up with this idea. I just had some of these very small little springs floating around and decided to add them to see what would occur when doing so in terms of picking, in terms of getting, when you push up on the outer jacket, when it is caught and you're pushing up on this pin stack, you're going to be engaging 2 separate springs. When you are clearing this final nail, when it's in a deep false set, then you have to only deal with the 1 spring. But I've noticed when picking this is when you go through different stages of picking this pin stack, it gives very different types of feedback and very different types of tension. So that's just to kind of mess with people. And then in number 3 we have one of those top steel polished pins with just 2 serrations added, and those have been polished off as well. Just did that as well on the Dremel. Number 4 is very similar to that second pin. It's just got a bit slightly longer body, and the spring that it's on is not quite as strong, and it's a bit shorter. Number 5 is one of those steel top pins that's been sort of just gently smoothed out into a lip at the end, just to catch. And number 6 is a double stacked pin and pin design, with the bottom one having a sort of serration at the very end. The entire purpose of this is that you have to clear the outer jackets. There's 2 of them, and they clear independently of each other, and then you've got to clear well, not fully independently, but yeah, you've got to clear the top one, then the second one, and then it captures in the lip, and then you've got to clear that, and then finally you've got to deal with the at the end, the deep false set nail. But just to demo how that kind of functions, he's going to sit in that 6th chamber, and I made sure when I composed this lock that where the default shear line would be, so that when you start picking this, you still have to clear that first outer jacket. It doesn't sit above the shear line. So these are sort of some of the things that I thought of, just to ensure that I didn't waste too much space on my security pins. Anyway, so let's take out these last ones. There's not too much going on with these last ones. There's a couple of minor changes. I'll take them all out, and then I'll put them one by one up quickly on a darkened background so you can better see them. Whoops, you, my friend, you are in there. Alright. Our first is a standard brass from a repinning kit. Our second is a standard steel polish that has had a top lip added to it. Our third, I think, is a brass. I can't quite tell, but it's had 2 sort of nice good serrations added in that top bit. Another serration on that one. Same on this last one. This one's steel. And 6 is standard. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. thanks for watching. I'm going to put this all back together and it's going to be popped in the mail, and I'm looking forward to seeing or hearing from HT4 what he thinks. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for, I'll be putting up another video, probably about another challenge lock that I've been working on. Anyway, cheers. And a tip for reassembling these, if anyone ever comes across one of these, not sure if that's visible, seemingly not, maybe, probably not. I might be able to show it with that second pin. Let me get to that stage. Alright, so what we do is, because we have the pin-in-pin design, capturing these when repinning it can be annoying, but it's actually not too hard. It's more annoying because it's typically a longer pin in total, and it's going to, in this case, be under a bit extra pin pressure when I have to push this jacket down. So what I do is I slip him into the chamber he's supposed to go. And typically what will happen is I will end up capturing him ever so slightly, and you can see that all I've got left now is that little nub that's protruding, which is basically the nail. So all I've got to do now is push that up into place, and then that entire stack will be captured by the plug follower. Done. Cool. We are working. I think it turned out that my second key in the second cut is a bit low, whereas my first key, no problem going back. But that's not a problem because we're limited by this part of the circle in terms of turning this to the back when we put the cam piece back on. Anyway, so the nice thing about this is that it looks innocuous, hopefully. There's nothing showing at the front. It looks like it's just sort of, just a regular pin just sitting there. Anyway, let's just finish putting the rest of this back together, and then I will be sending it off.